My name's Steve Waterhouse. Welcome to the Predictive Results Snapshot session for November. We're excited to have you all here and for another interesting dive a little deeper into the predictive index, something we all certainly know and love here. Today we're going to talk about if the job could talk, developing the job pattern. One of the things about predictive index that makes it so valuable is not just that you understand the individual, but that you are able to compare that individual in a statistically valid way to a particular job and have a high probability that that individual is going to work out, going to enjoy and do the right things to be successful in that job. That's really what makes predictive index as valuable as it is. It's the combination of the PI that looks at the person and the job pattern that we use to compare that person against. Now, remember that this is not just for hiring. We're going to talk about this for promotions because we look at any time you're moving a person to a new job, kind of like hiring. And so this is a really critical part of the predictive index process, and it's one that you really want to get right. The other great thing, especially for those of you who are in human resources or leadership, is that the development of the job pattern is a wonderful way to bring together stakeholders in your organization into the process of predictive index so they can participate in making it work better, and you can get a better understanding of what they're all looking for in these individuals for particular jobs. So it becomes kind of a community thing. We've got with us today Cindy Lynch, who is our most senior consultant. Cindy and I have been working together for many years now. She is an expert in PI, also degreed in psychology and English. She's got a whole lot of tools she brings to the table. Those of you who have worked with her know that not only is Cindy very sharp at this at predictive index, but she's a great consultant and has a wonderful way of giving you the real clear truth of a situation. Something we all value. So I'm going to kick it over to Cindy to get this started, and if Cindy doesn't mind, I may jump back in once in a while through the program. I can almost not help myself. I enjoy this stuff so much. So Cindy, it's all yours.
Thank you, Steve. You can't see me blushing, but thank you for the great introduction. PI, of course, is something I'm as passionate about as you are. And yes, with your low C, we know you can help yourself to jump in. So we've got a couple definition changes here. We're going to start calling the PRO the assessment tool. That's the actual survey that we're asking people to fill out about what they think the job requires. And we're going to refer to the finalized job PRO as the job pattern. That's actually the target pattern that we're going to use for the job. And what we want to think about, and we talked about a little bit this throughout the month. We had a blog and we had a tip. But if the job could talk to you, if you could sit down with the job and personify it over a cup of coffee, what would it tell you? What would it tell you are the measurable behavioral requirements of a job? Because think back again, when we hire people, we typically hire people based on their resume, what it says about their education, their experience, what they've done in the past. But when people don't work out in a job, and when they fail at a job or aren't able to achieve what we're wanting to achieve, it's because of things they do and don't do. That's what the crux of the job pattern gets to. What are the behavioral requirements of the job? Does it require somebody to be proactive? Does it require somebody to be analytical? Are we looking for people that can build consensus? So those are the behavioral requirements. We also need a job would tell us, please make this job objective. Don't hire somebody just because you like them. That never seems to work out. I think the job would also say, would you please get agreement with everybody in the field? HR doesn't always know what the people in the field actually want. Jobs tend to morph out in the field, and HR is the last person that is made aware of the changes, and then there's frustration and there's a disconnect, and HR isn't able to fill the jobs that the field is looking for. Also, employee development. The job would say, it could tell you, please don't put people in here, promote people above their abilities. Don't put people in situations where they're not going to succeed, or at least prepare them for the potential areas where there is going to be a struggle. And at the end, the job would say, well done, you have created a competitive advantage. Think about, let's say McDonald's Big Macs, their special sauce, right? That's what makes the Big Mac special. Think about the Kentucky Fried Chicken, 11 secret herbs and spices. That's their competitive advantage, and that's what people are buying. When you create a job pattern, that becomes your competitive advantage. That becomes worth more than all the PIs that you have in your system. That is what gets locked into your vault. So when we look at the job could talk, and we look at our photo here, and I love this, so I have to find a place to put it in every presentation, that if the job required the person to dive out of the water, well, the cow has pretty good form and he can do it. But what we can't see is that it requires someone to dive underwater and hold their breath for 20 minutes. The cow is obviously going to flounder. So again, the importance of getting a job objective profile. So what we have is, what is the job? What's the job pattern? We're going to go through how we get there, and then you can match a person to that job. You have to have the job pattern first to know where to put the person. And we really encourage you to do the due diligence. It's a process. The old saying, garbage in, garbage out. If you do this part right, follow the steps, you're going to end up, again, with a product that's priceless. So we have the PRO, which is the tool, and we're going to talk about who fills out the PRO. You want to look at your analytics. If you're not using your analytics tools now, contact your consultant and let them help you with that. We want to look at some behavior studies and case studies and validity studies that we've done in the past. You're going to have a discussion, and then you're going to come up with your job pattern. So the first thing we're going to look at is asking people to fill out the job PRO. And we're often asked, well, who should fill this out? How many? There is no magic number. I can say, and I do believe, that the more data you have, the better off you are. You don't have to include everybody's input in the final PRO. You don't take your PRO result and create an average. That's not a PRO. That's not a job pattern. That's nothing. So collecting your job PROs, who should? Definitely your HR people. Are they understanding what is required? The person that the job reports into, so the manager, high performers doing the job, your VPs or COOs who have a financial responsibility for meeting the strategic ends of the goals. We need to get their input as well.
You know, Cindy, one of the things I sometimes candidly say to our clients is there are two kinds of people you want to include in the PRO process. Those people whose input is going to be valuable, and those people who politically you need to involve. And as you said, you don't always need to take everybody's input into the final solution, but what a wonderful way to involve more people in the buy-in of this process. The PRO is a great way to do it. So you may err on the side of adding a few people just for the sake of getting them involved.
Yeah, I think that's great, and I agree with you 100%. So when you get your PRO results, the first thing we want to look at is what do we see in common. So these 4 PROs we have on our screen, what do they all agree on? They all agree it's a low C job, and the D is varying from mid to about a mid D. Where we're really getting our differences is the A and the B. So we need to have a discussion around how much independence are we looking for, how much innovation, how much change does this job require, or does it even matter? Could it be either one, an A over B would work well, or a B over A would work well? We also see that being proactive is something that everyone agrees on. So let's, for the sake of our discussion, say this is pro for a sales position. So we're going to have a group together. We're going to talk about what we have in common and then what the differences are. The discussion is around how much structure we need and how much independence we need in the job. Steve, would you agree?
Yeah, and Cindy, sometimes, for instance, on this is a sales position, sometimes there are unique pieces to the job that define it. For instance, if you've got in a sales position, if you've got lots of leads for someone to follow, someone with a lower A will perform adequately. If you need someone that's a cold caller going after new leads, then maybe a higher A works. So when you look at a job, there are nuances to the job that may not be clear just from the title that can define the type of person who's going to be most successful. I was working with a sales group yesterday, and they have some territories that are old territories where they need someone just to work existing clients. And they have some territories that are brand new and they need someone to go knock on doors. So literally they're going to have slightly different pros for those two different situations.
Yes, absolutely. Great point. Thank you. So once you've had your discussion on your pro, and while you're doing that, you want to run your analytics. So you want to take your top performers, and when you're measuring top performers, remember you need to have objective metrics. It can't be because of somebody's opinion that somebody's better. When you start getting into people's opinions, we value different things. So one manager may value somebody that completes their paperwork properly as being a top performer. Someone else may value a top performer, somebody's really friendly and nice and everybody likes. So again, when you're doing your analytics, the first thing you have to start with are objective metrics. So you're going to do a group average of your top performers, and then you're going to compare that to all others. And that's going to give you even more insight. And at this point, you can even drill down further. On this particular example, we see only one person with a fairly low A, and the C's a little bit higher. So those could be outliers. We may need to look at what that situation is. Are they more on a team selling? Is there something different about their geography? What could be different that's creating that? The other thing that we like to look at in the analytics is the white space. So what we clearly see is a high C and a high D are not top performers in this particular job. This job requires a high A, a high B, a low C, and a low D. A D over C and an A over C.
You know, one of Cindy, just jump back just for half a second there, because I think that the analytics is so interesting. When you're doing the analytics, you might want to run it on multiple metrics. In other words, some people ask us to run analytics on turnover and then also run it on performance. For instance, sales or customer service or units per hour. And often those metrics will come out with very different results. The kind of people that might stay a long time at your company don't look like the kind of people who drive your sales up or drive your customer service or drive the units on your production line. So don't be afraid to run multiple metrics and compare them. And unfortunately, at that point, you're going to have to make a decision on if you have some disparity there, which particular one is going to rate more. But your PI consultant can walk you through that process. Just be aware that we're happy to go a little deeper with you if that can be helpful. Go ahead, Cindy.
That's a good reminder. The nice thing about having your PI data in your Access PI is the data is there. And you can slice it and dice it in innumerable ways. Whatever you have a question about, you're trying to solve a problem, trying to get to the root of something. As Steve said, reach out to your consultant and say, this is the question I'm trying to answer. This is where I'm trying to get to. What are some different options I can look at in the data? your analytics, this is a powerful, powerful tool. And in fact, we're going to be talking about this in January, how to use your analytic tool in your Access PI, how to use it, when to use it, and why to use it. So now you've done your pros. We've had a group discussion about the pro. We've done the analytics. We're seeing if our analytics validates what we're coming up with the pro. And the other thing we can look at is some validity studies. And for this, you would reach out to your consultant and see what they have in the library. PI has a very large library of validities they've done on a variety of jobs. And we can go back and look at what other people in your industry or type role have had in the past. And Steve, I don't know about you, but I know I've had several situations where I'm working with organizations, they don't really have any top performers, or they only have one person doing that job. Yeah. How would you advise someone to create a pro for that?
That's a great question, and I think, if you think about the process, you might not have all of the pieces that a big company has, but you can always do a pro. You always have some people who have an opinion on what's required, and then we almost always have some studies. So if you talk to your consultant and you're looking for a CFO or you're looking for a manufacturing person, we've got studies on almost every type of job. They may not be exactly the type that you need, but they'll help steer in that final solution. So I think if you let us help you get as close as we can to a study that we've got that can inform the choice. We get this a lot from clients, for instance, that have one-off jobs. Again, like a CFO or a receptionist or a critical person, maybe a Six Sigma black belt that they want to hire, but they don't have a bunch of others to choose from. And we certainly can help you by looking at the 50 years of experience, 60 years of experience we have in this. We can help you get pretty close.
Yeah. So don't shy away from this process just because it is a one-off. We still want to do the due diligence, and we still want to come up with a pro, and it still can be done. The process is still the same, and we can help you with it. So here, now we've got our pro. So let's say our pro is on the left. This is a salesperson. Real briefly, this is a proactive, independent, competitive person, competitive drive to win, competitive drive to be the best. They want a lot of information. They want a process. So if you're onboarding this person, training, process, product knowledge is going to be very important to them. Being able to deal with rejection if possible, or is a big part of the job. Being resilient in the face of rejection to keep going is going to be very critical for success in this job. So now we've got our candidate on the right, and what we're looking at is what's different. So what's different is the A. The C and the D and the B are the same. So what do we need to either coach or ask interview questions is around the A. Tell me about a time that you had to do something new that you were uncomfortable with. Tell us about a time that you were in a situation you didn't know anyone and there wasn't a clear path of what to do. Tell me about a time that you faced rejection repeatedly. Steve, can you think of a couple other good questions for this one?
Yeah, I like tell me about a time when you had to, in a sales situation, get to a senior executive at a client where you had no contacts. Tell me about a situation where you were able to grow a business deal essentially from nothing. Those are the kinds of, you want to think about the kinds of actions that are required to be successful in the job, as you were just talking about, and make sure your questions focus on those.
So those questions, couple that I gave, were about the A. We want to figure out how that person is going to deal in a high A environment, and that D is a little bit high. They want to be well-liked. They want to be appreciated, so dealing with rejection can be a problem. So those were the questions that we were probing around. And also thinking about now their motivating needs. Their motivating needs at high B, again, being recognized, liked, appreciated, following the rules. We know this pattern is typically very much a how can I help you pattern. And what we're doing is we're asking them to put them into a situation where they're going in and saying, making strong recommendations on this is what you need. I'm going to interrupt your day. Does this person have the confidence to go in and interrupt a conversation, interrupt someone's day, as Steve said, get to the CEO? They're going to really struggle with that. They're going to feel like they're intruding. Who are they? They're going to be questioning that. So again, look at the factor differences to ask them interview questions, and also look at the motivating needs. And if those motivating needs aren't going to be met in the job, are we really setting them up for success? Here's the second one where we have a person with a higher D, very high D, and a high A, low C, low B. Steve, if you were going to be interviewing this person, what are some things you might ask them?
Oh, I actually had this almost exact situation yesterday. And you know, what you have here as a candidate is someone who's a more technical person. They are lower B, so they're more technically focused. They tend to be higher D, so they're more worried about getting it right. And while we can't say this pattern on the right this person would never be good in sales, we can say that if we're looking for someone like the person on the left, there's a good chance that there's some challenges. And so I would talk about the high D. High D people tend to overthink the job. Now, they wouldn't think it's overthinking, but in the sales world, we would. They would think it was called doing it right. And so we would ask questions like, when you prepare for a sales call, give me an example of the preparation you do. So what I'm looking for is how much time does this person spend preparing for each and every call they make. That pattern is the higher D is going to tend to do spend too much time preparing so that they have all the facts or feel more confident. They also have a higher C than we're looking for, and so we might ask, tell me about a situation where you really had an overwhelming day. What was going on that day? People with low C's can manage a lot more in a day than people with higher C's, and so we want to listen for the types of things that overwhelm this person and see if that sounds like this job. So we're looking for things that would eliminate this person or say, no, they wouldn't be a good fit in it. And then, of course, we've got a problem with the B and the A. I will tell you that the B is less of an issue for me. I've seen good salespeople who were fairly technically focused and weren't really, didn't spend an awful lot of time talking about, last weekend's football game, and actually did very well. But most of them tended to have a higher A so that they could get the conversation started. The A also compared with the D gives you the risk. So when you see an A over D as we do in the PRO, that person's willing to take more risk. And sales in general is a risk business. You are constantly doing things that can blow up in your face or create a negative situation. This person, because they have the low A, the high D, tends to be more risk averse. And so we need to find out, tell me about a situation where you didn't feel comfortable making a call. You didn't feel comfortable moving forward on a situation. So you want to assess their risk profile vis-a-vis the specifics of the job. So what's always interesting is you're trying to have a real clear picture of the world this person is going to live in the job, and look for gaps that would cause this person to either not enjoy the job or not do some of the critical things that are important for success in the job. And that is your job in interviewing, is to make sure that you don't put somebody in that job who will be unhappy and unproductive. Cindy?
No, that's a good point. And I was thinking, too, when you were talking, this person interviewing, without having the PRO and objective process, you may be quite wowed by them because they're going to come across as very as experts in what they're talking about.
Yes,
so
they are.
this is a clear case where we could have a doing-knowing gap. This person may know exactly what to do, what it takes to be a salesperson, but whether he can actually execute it is the real question, isn't it?
No question about it.
And the one before, this person, everybody likes that person. You fall in love with this applicant, and so you begin talking yourself into this person being successful.
No question about it. Thank you.
So, Steve, we were giving you some examples of, things to look at in your interview and your coaching. But remember, you have interview and coaching guides available to you through your Access PI portal. If you need help with that or aren't quite sure how to put those together, reach out to your consultant and they will walk you through that process.
Remember that you have to have just a quick hold on that slide.
Yeah.
Remember that you can't do an interviewing guide without a pro. So you need, this goes back to the whole beginning of why you're doing this session today. You have to have the pro in order to do effective interviewing, and our system is designed to use the pro to give you some better assistance. But that's all. Thanks.
Perfect. No, thank you. Thank you. That wraps up our topics for today. If anyone has any questions, if you would submit them in the chat box, we will. We have a few minutes. We could probably take one or two. Again, we always encourage you to reach out to your consultant. That's what they're there for. It's very important to them that you're successful in maximizing the value of the tool. I always kind of laugh and tell my analysts, I'm already paid for. Don't hesitate to call me and ask me. I'm waiting for you to call me. It makes me happy in my day. So again, that's what they're there for. They're there to help you be as successful as possible, to make these tools easy to use and to make them relevant. December, we're going to come back, and actually, Steve, I'm going to be hosting, and we're going to have Steve go through some real PI stumpers. We see lots of PI patterns that we just kind of scratch our heads and are like, boy, I've never seen that before. And they're always kind of interesting to tease out and talk about. So that is surely to be a great session. And then we're going to kick off January talking about our analytic tools and how to use them, why to use them, and when to use them. And then we want to encourage you again to get with your consultant on how these analytics tools can help you achieve your strategic goals for 2016.
Well,
that,
Cindy, thank you. That was a great job. I always appreciate hearing you do this. You do it so well, and especially with your clients. I want to echo your invitation for clients to please reach out to your consultants. People don't do it enough. We've got a lot to offer to help them. So please jump in and ask, and we'll help you in any way we possibly can. So again, Cindy, thank you so much for putting this all together and doing this today.
Well, and thank you for being with us. And we'll see you all next month.